Day. We're going to live stream that today. This is Fred Depaul. He's been doing this many, many years, and I think you'll find this very interesting. He's going to show you different methods from modern to very old. So Fred, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now, the first thing, it's always a good idea before you start shearing a sheep to know how old it is. Because sometimes if they're younger, they're apt to kick and fuss a little more, and you have to work around that. Or if they're older, you want to handle them gently so you don't hurt them. Now, how you tell the age of a sheep is you look at their teeth. Now, I can see this gal still has all her baby teeth yet. So that tells me she's just a year old. Now, this summer, she's going to lose her 2 front teeth and get her first 2 bigger adult teeth. And then every year after that, until the age of 4, they lose 2 more little ones, get a couple of more big ones. Then after that, you got to go by the wear and condition. And if you notice too, they have no teeth on top. See that just on the bottom. I remember I was shearing for a group of kindergarten kids one year. I was showing them the teeth. And this one little fella yells out, "Wow, just like my dad, no upper teeth." Because, you know, I told him his father had teeth at one time. The sheep never get them on top. Okay, now first I'm going to shear her with electric clippers the way most sheep are sheared today. Now, it doesn't hurt at all, you know, just like getting a haircut. Now, one of the first questions a lot of people ask when they see somebody shearing a sheep is they want to know, how fast can you shear a sheep? And I tell them that speed really doesn't amount to that much. When you figure it took the sheep a whole year to grow this wool, an extra few minutes taking it off really doesn't matter. Just as long as you can get it off, the quicker than they can grow it, you'll stay ahead of them. Now, one of the first questions people say, though, is what about a shearing contest? They've all heard about these contests where they think that everybody is shearing as fast as they can, and they think it's the one that shears the fastest wins. Well, I used to do some international contests, and under those rules, speed only accounts for 20% of the score. Now, 40% is what the sheep looks like when you get done, and 40% is what the wool looks like. Because there's no advantage of shearing a sheep fast if you're going to hurt the animal or ruin the wool. Now, we all know how you can hurt the animal, but how you can ruin the wool. Now, a lot of folks, you know, especially if they haven't sheared a lot of sheep, they're not quite sure where the sheep is under this wool. So what they'll do is they'll cut down through the wool once first to find the skin, then they'll cut a second time to make it look like a smooth shearing job. But what happens is the second time you cut that wool, you get these little short pieces. Now, say you were to spin that wool into yarn, the little short pieces spin right along with the rest of it. But knit that yarn into a sweater, as you wear that sweater, all those little short pieces all come loose. And what they do is ball or pill on the outside of your sweater. So if you ever wear a wool sweater that pills a lot, you can blame whoever sheared that sheep. Now, every sheep is sheared the same way. Now, we're going to take the wool off the stomach first. Okay, now the wool off the stomach is called belly wool. Now that's a poorer quality, so I'm just going to set it over there. People generally don't spin that. If they would use it at all, it'd be to make felt. Okay, now when I sheared this leg, I wanted it out nice and straight. But I don't want to grab her foot and pull it out this way. That'll give her something to kick by. So instead, take your left hand, push down right here. She has to hold that leg out nice and straight for you. I know I was at a fair one time doing a demonstration. I had the leg out like that, and I heard a lady in the audience say, look, he's got that sheep all trained, so it holds his leg out nice and straight. Well, if I'd been smart, I would have said it takes about a month to teach him that. But I showed if you push down there, they have to. Now I'm going to take a little bit off the top. Now the wool off the top of the head is called the top knot. Now that's the poorest part of any of the wool on a sheep. It's short. A lot of times it has hair mixed in with it. There's not much you can make out of the top knot. The main use is to make tennis balls. So if you ever played tennis with a halfway decent ball, chances are it started out originally as the top of a sheep's head. Now this is where most people, when they first start shearing, lose it. That when you change a sheep from one position to another, sometimes they'll kick once or twice. And what some folks will do is they'll grab a leg, try to stop it from kicking. All that does is makes the sheep mad. Next thing you know, after the sheep gets mad, the person trying to shear gets mad. Then before you know it, the two of them are rolling around on the ground fighting with each other, and nobody's getting any work done. So just let them kick once, and when they see they're not going to get hurt, they'll relax. I've always said that shearing is actually an awful lot like wrestling. The only difference is in shearing, you get a fresh opponent every round. So if you wear yourself out on the first one, you're not going to get through very many in a day. Demonstrations for younger folks at other museums and things. I always like to ask them questions about shearing to see whether the teacher's done any work with them or not. Well, the first question I always like to ask is, what do you call a girl sheep? Usually they have no idea. I'm trying to come up with a good clue for the word. I thought I had a great clue one year. I couldn't wait to try it out. It didn't work at all. I had to give it up after the first day. I give them a clue. It rhymes with Sam, starts with an R, and most of the younger folks get that one. But they all know what a baby sheep is called, a lamb. average sheep will shear about 8 pounds of wool a year. Now, if you wash that wool, you'd end up with 4 pounds of clean wool to spin and 4 pounds of sheep grease, or lanolin. Now, the lanolin is used in hand lotions, and that 4 pounds of wool, there's 4 ounces in a skein of yarn, so the average sheep would give you enough wool to make 16 skeins of wool, which would be enough for I know 3 lady sweaters, 2 men's sweaters, or maybe 4 or 5 kid sweaters. I've had people ask when I'm doing demos, they want to know, where's the sheep's head? Some of them say he's sitting on it, a different thing, but I have it actually, back between my legs. Now, there's a reason for that, and not that it's a good scissors hold, so she can't get away from me, but what it does, it keeps the skin tight on this side while I'm shearing her. If I was to shear her with her head forward, I'd have a lot of loose wrinkles in the skin. Because what would happen is I'd take all those wrinkles off with the wool. Now, we don't want to do that. We want to get the wool off and leave the sheep, in one piece. Okay, now way back, the only way they had to shear sheep was by hand. Now, to shear by hand, you had to use a pair of hand shears like these. When they actually had the millions of sheep in New England, the only way they had to get it off was by hand. Now, this sheep actually has some merino in it, I can tell just by her neck, with a lot of loose wrinkles and things. And it seems like whenever you read about sheep in New England, the breed that always comes up is a merino. But the merinos didn't become popular until the 1800s. Now, they never talk about the most popular type of sheep in the early 1800s. Now, that would have been the otter sheep, O-T-T-E-R. Now, the otter sheep's claim to fame was not that they had the best wool or that they had the best body. It's that they had these little short, stubby legs. And because of the short, stubby legs, they had kind of a tough time getting around. So you didn't need much of a fence to keep an otter sheep in. All you had to have was a stone wall. Now, you drive around the countryside today and see all these old stone walls. Wonder, what the heck good are they? Sheep would jump right over them. Well, it worked perfect for these little otter sheep. I know the first time I ever saw an otter sheep, I was shearing sheep for a fella. He had a dozen sheep in the barn. They were all standing up, but he had one that was laying down over in the corner. Well, while I was shearing one of them, I looked, and that sheep that was laying down was moving. And I said, what the heck kind of a thing, And he said, it's one of those otter sheep. They have legs, about 4 inches long. You can't even see them in the wool. Okay, now I got to slide her over just a little bit. Now, to do the last leg, I'm going to use this old hand crank machine, actually made about 1900. Now, I've had people ask me, what's the difference between a hand crank machine and electric? I tell them, as far as I go, there is no difference. You got to ask the person turning the crank. They can answer that one for you. And because of that, it took 2 people to operate it. One to turn the crank. Yeah, well, the other one did the... No, yeah, it's got to go that way. Okay, get a little speed on it. Now, as he turns that crank... this fella did a heck of a job. It's not that easy to do. Yeah. I remember one time I was at a demonstration. I just got done shearing the last sheep. We put the sheep away, loaded the hand crank up when this one fella came over. He heard there was shearing going on there that day. He was afraid he might be too late to actually see the shearing, but he was hoping that he could at least talk sheep with somebody. Well, I told him how I sheared the sheep by hand and things, then I used a hand crank. He said when he was a boy, his father had 200 sheep, and he used to have to turn the crank for him while his father did the shearing. Now, his father had sold the sheep in 1925, so it's been quite a while since he'd even seen one of these. So I asked him, would you like me to bring the old hand crank out so I can remember when you were a boy? He didn't even want to look at it. He said, I can still remember to this day what that darn thing looked like. But you can see, you know, it does do a pretty nice job. Now I'll let her up. I think she's going to feel a lot better now with the warm weather coming on. It's got to be awful to have a wool sweater on. You can't take it off when it gets hot. Okay. No. Yeah. No. No, it's just got to go this way. Right like this. I know if you don't put halters on, you know, every day, sometimes it's
challenge.
Yeah. But it seems like no matter which way you put it on, it always, you know, pretty much stays.
Thank you.
Now, to give you an idea of how much wool you can get off a fleece, I'll take a little tiny piece of wool like this. Now, let me see if I can make any kind of a thread out of something this small. Boy, I don't know. I didn't save anything here. Maybe I can at least get a thread started. I'll kind of give you an idea how it works. I was doing this at a fair one time. I heard this fella yelling to his wife. He said, you mean to tell me we just paid $500 for a spinning wheel? He said, look, you can do it for nothing on your leg. I said, no, this is just to kind of give you an idea. So see, out of that little tiny piece of wool, I got a piece over 2 feet long. So imagine what you can get from the whole fleece. Okay.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, that sounds
Appreciate
good.
it.
Yeah,
Hope
did
you
we use
enjoyed
enough time? Yeah.